Good morning and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the indigenous one. And with all this talk going on about these vaccinations and stuff, I think it's something we have to do is look back and see how this happened before, how we fell into this before, and take a look if history not repeating itself and how we push the narrative. So we want to talk about that today. Any questions, please? Please. Wait a minute. Yeah. Any questions, please send them in the chat and we will make sure they get answered. Joining me today, sister who does a lot of research. This Sister Diggs, y'all. And one of the reasons why I like to share the mic with her, because I can respect that. Somebody who goes out and finds information to share, and they're not even mentioned when we talk about things and what people do. It's the little people that really dig out a lot of information for the people. So join me in welcoming Infused Virgo. How are you doing, Infused Virgo?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great. Nice in the fall day. It's rainy and slushy outside, so it's all good. What I want to talk about is this Tuskegee Experiment 2020 that's coming up. And it's something that we're not talking about. We don't want to talk about. We act like we don't know. We act like we don't know about it. Could you go tell us real quick, what are the implications of this?
Well, let me start with telling you guys to take a look at an article in the Washington Post. It's called "The Poor Rural States Presenting Challenges for the Vaccine." And the reason why I mention this article is because of the fact that they're bringing up Macon County, Alabama, and Perry County, Alabama. Now, we all know the history, as we see on the screen. And basically what's going to happen is they're looking to start implementing the COVID vaccine in the Perry County, Alabama. Excuse me, with that being said, with the history of experimentation being done in Alabama, I brought this to Carrie's attention, and that's why we're here today.
What's going on? I mean, seriously, because this is what I mean. A lot of the things that happen to us, it happens to us because of us. We do dumb shit. And then when things don't go right for us, we like, I didn't know, like this recent election. So with the history of this, I mean, everybody should be in on the history of this. Right. How do they get us to stand in all these lines and wait for it to be injected?
Basically, they not only use our inability or the inability for educating ourselves. I mean, it's not an inability, it's a choice that we make of not educating ourselves, but they also use the church. I mean, if it's like, this doesn't feel right, but then your pastor says, oh no, you can trust them, you can do this. They use every outlet that we have in our community to kind of manipulate us into doing exactly that, standing in line for a vaccination that we have never heard anything about. We don't know what they're doing. They lie and they use other tactics to get us in these lines. And basically, we know that history repeats itself every day when it comes to us. But in regards to this situation, history is repeating itself. This is the first group of people that are going to be used in this COVID vaccination. They're talking about healthcare workers and all that stuff like that. But when it comes to the citizen, the person that lives on the land, they're looking at going an hour away from where they initially did one experiment to doing another one an hour away. in Alabama, because when they went to Africa, just so you guys know this, when they went to Africa and said, we're going to start doing vaccinations over here, they said, no, you're not. No, you're not. So who they turned back to? Us. And we're going to let them, not saying we as a whole, but a lot of us are going to let them. We believe this vaccination is it. How do you come up with the vaccination for this, but you don't have a vaccination for AIDS? You don't have vaccination for other things, but all of a sudden now you have a vaccine for COVID that isn't even really a full year, blown year of a pandemic, but you have a vaccine just like that.
Well, what I want to say about that. How don't we know that? I mean, I think there's certain things that a human, a 5-year-old, should know. If some people came through your vicinity and a bunch of people died, that lets you know that the people who came through wiped out your folks. Mm-hmm. With the Tuskegee experiment, with a whole bunch of things that's been going on, wars and everything. And we still give our all to these people that do us in. I don't understand that.
I don't know. I know there's a term called cognitive dissonance, where you love the person that causes all of these things or whatever, but this is illogical. It makes no sense. I mean, if the information is put out there, your information is put out about our organs being taken and used, and information's about our melanin being taken and used. There's all this information that's out there, but yet we still have this blockage that says, no, we can trust them. No, this is an issue where you cannot trust. This is an issue where you need to educate yourself immediately. This is an issue that it's not a joke, you guys. And it's just like we keep on volunteering ourselves or being sacrificed by supposed community leaders for volunteering ourselves. And we need to stop it, because of the fact is that I believe, and I could be wrong, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not gonna, I know that COVID is real, and I'm not saying that I'm a doctor, but if you have a vaccination that a whole other country is saying, nope, you're not giving that to nobody here, get out, go, and you can't go anywhere else because everybody else is pretty much on the same board, like, nope, no, and they come right back here, and the first place they go to, or talking about going to, or having issues with doing it, is Alabama. It's Alabama. The first place you did an experiment, I mean, they experiment us all the time, but where it's documented, where it publicly, so we know about it, is Alabama. This makes no sense. And so, if you have politicians that are pushing this, they're getting paid. I mean, you know what? I don't care who's listening at this point. They're getting paid. Your pastors who are going to be like, yeah, you should. They're getting paid. And so if you don't know this now, it's time for you to know it. It's time for you to wake up, period. Wake the fuck up. Because this is your children, this is your family, these are your grandparents, your cousins. This is a form of genetic annihilation. These are things that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was talking about in her book. And it's like, if we're going to sit here and be so complacent, then what's the point of these shows? What's the point of us trying to get the information out there? What's the point? You guys, I know there are a lot of people who know, but this is not something, this is our livelihood that they're talking about. And RNA is a synthetic DNA, which is going to mutate and cause other issues. And then you have to take the vaccine 2 times. You have to go for once and then you go again. So, and then they tell you you're going to have flu-like symptoms and all these symptoms and so forth and so on. But all the trials have not been good. So this thing that we're talking about right now needs to pay attention and start paying attention to what's going on in your communities, because the only people that can stop this is us. We can stop it from happening to us, but we have to stop it.
Well, I like to be, we have to be realists too.
Yes.
We can't act like, a lot of African American, Black, Negro people. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. We should have been picked up a lot of information a long time ago. True. We shouldn't be this dumb. So like you just had an election go by where a bunch of Negroes voted for people who were bringing in immigrants on them. how don't we know this?
To replace you.
To replace you. I mean, how don't we know this? And then we like to act like I didn't know. Somebody else. All that. What is that?
It's
And it's
ignorant.
because you do not sit around. You don't sit down and think. You sit around and watch TV, sports, and all this other bullshit when all this is happening around you. The whole job is to get rid of you so people can come take your land, take your national forest, because their lands are used up over there, so they're coming to get yours. And what do they get you to do? They get you to go in your own destruction.
And help. I mean,
This
just
is
to look.
so the people of the future. Let me just say this, Ivy, and I'll be on. To the people in the future, this is what I want you to know. Do not think that the information wasn't put out. Don't think that the information wasn't given. Don't think, because there are millions of people who are out there working to stop this stuff. But the masses of people, they la 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 la. They just go along with it.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. When you let somebody take control of your mind, I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they talk like. I don't care what they smell like. I don't care how much money they have.
They're still gonna do it. I mean, are you there, Carrie? Hello? Okay. Carrie, what happened?
Just totally out.
Yeah, because of what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. That's that. I saw that too. That shit came walk in. So I tried to start it back up. Let me try to start back up.
Okay. Bye. I'll call you back. Oh, yeah, I'll call you back. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. That was I don't know what that was. Well,
That was them.
huh?
It was them. You know that was them. They everything we talk about. They don't. They do not honor the Constitution that they wrote, claiming that there's freedom of speech. And so you start talking about not this vaccine and something bad about it, you get monitored. That's what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Well, let me just go through a couple of the since we got cut off for a little bit. Let me go through a couple of the questions and some of the things that the chat is saying, so we can address those. Okay.
Okay.
We let's find a couple. We'll just hit.
Okay. All right.
Here goes. This is what Chase Ryder says. Anytime you inject a virus in your body, it makes your body go into flight mode. And that is what makes you feel like you have the flu or something is wrong with you. Mm-hmm. So letting you know some of the symptoms.
Right. And I've read that they have to do the vaccination. They have to do the vaccine twice. And they said that you will be sick. Why would you want to take something that they're going to give you that's going to make you sick? And then you have to go back again. In Vegas, there's lines and lines of people getting COVID testing done. They have periodic days where they go, and it's lines around blocks of people. And I'm like, no, no. So
they're going to make things inconvenient. They are going to play games with your money, your ability to get a job, and more. So this is the point where I say, come in. Isn't it about time that we stop letting ourselves be used as currency for other people? Because that's all it is.
Yep.
I don't. And when we open our mouth to say one word, we always say something dumb. All these immigrants coming over here on top of you, and they're selling you their products, and you're buying it.
Well, when immigrants come to America and they want to open a business, they get extra funding for opening businesses in rural and so-called African American areas. They get more money.
But you don't have to support them. See that we always try to come up with.
No, you don't.
Well, no, it does, but you support them. So you think we do. No. You think if you went to their place, they would support you?
No.
But you will try to find it. No, you will try to find any excuse in the world to do the dumb shit that you do. Stop supporting them.
Exactly. Because if you go to like Chinatown, you don't see any soul food restaurants in Chinatown. You don't see anything that's not owned by anybody Chinese or Asian. They will not allow you. Try to go open a business in Chinatown today and see what happens. They'll look at you and laugh. They're not going to let you do it.
Yeah, but you always what anybody else do. And hey, I see when I'm out in every day, I see how the African American behaves when it comes to foreigner. You're talking about a place in Alabama. You're talking about Macon County and Perry County. Right. Those are right there in the black belt of Alabama. Mm-hmm. You mean all this education Negroes have been getting? I know you. I've been going to school for 100 years. All these historical black colleges and universities that were started in the mid 1800s, and none of these schools are putting up no industry for the people who built those schools. Explain that.
Well, it looks to me like you get more government funding for destroying your people versus helping them. And it seems like that's what it's about. It seems like it's about the money portion. It doesn't seem like it's about ethics. It doesn't seem like it's about, actually caring for the community you come from. It's about money and funding. Because if it wasn't, then those programs that you're talking about would be in place right now.
Mass vaccinations against COVID-19 will be a mind-blowing challenge for Alabama, other poor and rural states. First of all,
it should be.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It should be a challenge. It should be such a challenge that they know to go somewhere else or just not do it at all because of the history of what took place in Alabama and other parts of America that represent us. It should be a challenge. They should not even be allowed to even talk, say that anything towards us at all. But it's like we forget things that have happened to us as a collective, and we act like it, we just healed from it, and we're forgiving. We'll forgive everybody else but each other, and we'll let everybody do everything to us and each other. But this is one time that as a stand, or as a people, that we should stand up and say no, because the fact is that we're not lab rats. We're beings. And every time you turn on, they're using us for a cure to this, or to find that, or this, that, and the other. I mean, if anybody ever read the Harriet Washington book, Medical Apartheid, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. This has been going on forever, and it needs to stop. I mean, just alone, we already know that the Tuskegee experiment actually stopped in 1972. That wasn't that long ago, you guys. And these HBCUs that have primarily African American, Black, Negro students, whatever you want to classify yourself as, should be the main ones saying no. But they're not, because of the fact that they're going to get government funding. This is stupid. And we continue going through the same thing. It's like we keep on doing the same thing and expecting the same results. We keep on expecting the same result with a different result. I'm sorry. It's like we keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, and that's insane.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, we into it. I know people. I know Negro. I mean, and a lot of times when we talk about Negroes, we try to make it seem like if they're poor or if they're not part of the mainstream. No, the mainstream is part of this. The mainstream is making this happen. I'm talking to a brother today who used to be a part of it, and they just told him, "Shine, we don't need you no more." But we got Africans and other people come over here that can do your job for cheaper. Right when he was about to retire. And so he's like, oh man, I'm like, you should have known that when you got the job. And this is what I'm saying. These things have been shown to our parents. These things have been shown to our grandparents. And you're going to vote for 12 million people to come in over here on you when you're being gentrified in some of these cities, and you're bringing the wealth of your country with you. What is that going to pose for the African American Negro?
Much more poverty, extinction, possibly. I mean, if you even go back to the Georgia Guidestones, there's nothing about us involved in the languages and so forth on the Georgia Guidestones, and this is our land. And we're just like, get off, go away, die or blend in.
But I thought you was African.
No.
African. I asked this African. I said, hey man, are you over here taking DNA tests with your people who came over here on no slave ship? He's like, man, I can't believe. He said that's the thing with us now. We can't believe nobody is that stupid to believe a story that dumb. I'll say, well, let me introduce you to the African American. They can explain to you, you're an African. They can explain to you better how that happened, and they've never been to Africa.
Yeah. And it's funny when I remember, I'm sorry, I used to get my hair braided before I locked it. The Africans in Wisconsin have a lot of shops. I go get my hair braided, and someday I started talking about slavery, and the woman looked at me like, "What? What's that?" Like, no idea. So that's what made me start questioning this ideology that we've been told, and looking at it. I mean, it's just like, if they how is it in their history none of that is included, but in our history it's all over the place. Why does the reformatted history always start with us being slaves and coming over on ships, and how you know, I could go on. I don't want to go on about that. We're talking about the vaccination, but you guys already know all of this. But regarding the vaccination, we have to stop letting people experiment on us. As a people, there are more of us than what they tell us, as we know. Because if there wasn't more of us, they wouldn't rely on us for the economy in open businesses in our areas, because they know they're going to get rich. They already know. They already know the mindset. They take our money and then talk about us. They you know, so that's basically it. They come open a business, take your money, and then talk about you, talk about how dumb, how stupid, how savage, how unruly, how this, how that, and so forth. And we let them away. Yeah, and then we make music about it. And go on TV shows about it. This virus is affecting our communities no matter what, or whatever is acclimated with the virus. The vaccine is being pushed towards us. And now we can sit here and believe that Kamala Harris is going to be the next Black woman savior, but I don't know how she could be Black when her mom calls her Caucasian. But either way, and you guys can believe that Joe Biden is this great white hope, but how can he be when he doesn't even like Black people as a whole? It makes no sense. And we're constantly falling for the okie doke. And this is one time that we need not to fall for the okie doke. We need to wake up. Quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is from people who never make things happen. They can always be tricked. Yes. You know, if one of their kids say, hey, why don't we stop eating at the restaurants in our communities and shut them down and just leave them until the price go down and go in and get those properties and open up our own restaurants. Mom would cuss them out and tell them how dumb he is for coming up with that. And you know I'm not lying.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead. You there?
Yeah, go ahead.
But the crazy thing is, do you guys know, like, I'm sure you do, but remember the Montgomery Bus Boycott? Remember that? I always talk about this and people look at me like I'm crazy. But here in the Montgomery Bus Boycott, within, I think it was a 3-month radius, they were able to shut the whole system down. Because that proved to you right there that the system relies on our money. The Negroes at that particular time said, nope, we're not catching the bus. They figured out ways to get to work. They didn't miss work, but they figured out ways to get there. And because they weren't using the bus system and that at that particular time, it caused the whole bus system to shut down. And they came back and said, wait, well, we need to, okay, you can ride on the front of the bus. I mean, but that's minor. But could you imagine if we did that on a national scale? Can you imagine? Because they don't respect the marching. They don't respect the protesting. They turn it into something else. They manipulate that, and they use you to gentrify your own area. If you can't tell, that's what it's for. It's for you to tear it down so they can come back and buy it for a cheaper price and then build big condos and stuff like that you can't afford and push you out. So if on a whole level, if we said, you know what, we're not going to McDonald's anymore. We're not going to Burger King anymore. If we did all of that, it would shut things down. And then they would be like, hey, wait, hold on. The blacks, the niggers, the whatever they want to refer to us as aren't spending their money. Yep. Now at that point, that's when they'll start listening, because our dollar is more valuable than anybody else's. Because we spend it, we don't have any resources ourselves. We're 1% of the global market. So they know that they can come into our communities and give us a vaccine that is not good for you, that they know what it's going to do to you, because of the other experiment they did an hour away. They already have all this information. And Bill Gates knows it, and so did his family. And it was been a goal since then. I mean, I did something that in the mental health thing that we talked about. So you guys, I mean, we have to stop writing an invitation to our own demise. Period.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing really to say. I mean, with this whole vaccination thing and all the things that are going on with this whole year that's being going on with wearing the mask, the Negro has been the mask police.
Oh yeah.
I know Negroes who have, walking around like they gonna tell masks if you ain't got your mask on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's today. It's like that.
Yep. And just to throw this in there too, you guys, if you go back and you look at the information about the Spanish flu made people mask, right after that happened, they had a huge tuberculosis breakout because the immune system was compromised by wearing the mask because you need to breathe in and out air. So that's also watch. That's coming too. That's on its way because this is repeating itself, and it's like we don't pay attention to the repeat. They constantly repeating and trying to pull you into their loop to keep you in this circle, and if you got to pull yourself out of it, we got to pull yourself out and start looking at things. Turn your damn TV off. Pick up a book. Go outside, get some fresh air. Put the Xbox, PlayStation down. Go think. Stop eating Cheetos, whatever, but start thinking.
What needs to happen is a total boycott from society.
Yep.
Sports. A new season is getting ready to start, but millions are about to die. So this is what Neptune's heart says.
I see that.
Simple, a few words,
yep.
Let you explaining to you what's going on.
Yes.
How come people don't get that? How come people don't see this? And this cat looked like he's in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And we just keep banging our head up against the wall. With what this was going on, what African has been saying for a long time. It's changing, y'all. Are we going to change with it? Or are we going to just keep making things worse for ourselves? Because that's all we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
we haven't heard no intelligence come from the schools. All we heard of Negroes repeating what they've been told. No Negro have said, you know what? These cities are gentrifying us. Why don't we go back to where our mothers and fathers are from, our grandmothers and grandfathers are from, get our land and change this shit in our favor? We won't do that. You're learned, you're smart, you're intelligentsia. They don't come up with ideas like that because they somebody else's bitch. We are going to remain on this planet.
Well put.
If we're going to be viable on this planet, if we're going to be what the creator of us all had in mind when we were put here, we better stop being so goddamn stupid.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, everybody has their own time when they're waking up and all that stuff like that and coming to realization and so forth. But now you need to kind of push that shit. You need to push it because the fact is that this is gonna deal with you and your existence of your family and your bloodline. And if you're not seeing it, I mean, just alone with the election, they're fanning the Black woman for being the reason why everything happened the way it did. So now when everything goes bump and things go wrong and this is not right and all that, guess who's gonna get blamed for all this? For voting them in office, the woman who did it. That's what they do. They put the blame on that person, and this is going to continue to be a cycle if we don't start realizing that. If we don't start buying our own land, if we don't start growing our own food, if we don't start taking control of the industries that belong to us in the first place, it's going to be what happens. And this is just a warning for you guys to kind of look into to start researching. Look up Moderna. Look it up and read it. Read about RNA. Read about the studies. Educate yourselves. So So if you're a pastor, if you happen to be a churchgoer, comes to you and says, it's really trustworthy, you can be like, no, it's not. Stand up for yourselves. Get a fucking backbone. For real.
The information's out there, y'all.
Yep.
It ain't no excuse. You have no excuse. I know you'll use the basketball game was on. I was talking to Jesus. I know you'll use some old bullshit excuse that you always use. You see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You see since this thing been going down, what's been happening.
Yeah. Yes.
You can act like this shit ain't happening if you want to. You can act like minds ain't being changed if you want to. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna shut it down for the night. Listening to a brother and he said something that was 100%. If we keep going the way we going, our kids won't even make it to the age we at. And I know
Right.
you see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, you better start thinking reality. Stop all the bullshitting and playing you cute. It's like the brother who checked that sister who was twerking in the store the other day,
Mm-hmm.
doing that dumb shit. How we think you got grown men thinking twerking is cool. For real? All you can do
Right.
is clap your ass. Do you know what you look like on the world stage?
And they love to
And
record you
clap
doing
your
it.
ass, you cool. And we
Yes, they
think
love.
it's cool. Okay, y'all.
Right. Now, there's a Kia Green made a comment on here, and I do agree. She said that we have been programmed from the beginning, and it's very hard for people to be unprogrammed, and she's very awake. And I respect that. I do understand that we have been programmed, and it's hard for people to become unprogrammed. And that's why these shows are here, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. But the show, our show, this show is here to educate, and it's up to you to become unprogrammed. It's up to you to do the research. Not everything is going to be available in the Bible, and Jesus is not going to come save you from the vaccine. I mean, and that's just that. So if you're not willing to take the initiative to become unprogrammed, if you're not listening, you're hearing this from different avenues. You hear it from free thinkers societies. You hear it from other indigenous programs. You hear it from other people. A lot of people are on the same vibration and saying the same exact thing. So I understand that in the beginning, a lot of us have been programmed, but like I said, it's for us to make the decision to become unprogrammed, to become aware. If someone's telling you the same thing over and over again, and you're hearing from different sources, then you would think that you would go research it or try to read into it. But if you choose not to do that, then you're choosing to stay programmed. You have a choice. And also, with that being said, for those people who are not going to take the vaccine, because I'm one of those, Carrie, before I let you go, I just want to mention this, that if you go to your Human Services or Health Department website, there's a form that you can fill out that's an exemption from immunizations. And you can fill out for your children and yourself, but you just have to get it notarized. And keep that on your body. I mean, it's something to have. I don't know how it's going to work, how that would work, but information was passed on to me, and I want to pass it on to everybody else. So, that's basically what I'm here for, is to get the information out. And I appreciate, the Indigenous one for giving the opportunity to do so. I'm going to be quiet now and let him do what he does.
Listen, for the shots and all that stuff, you just let them know, man, hey, my grandfather was a Tuskegee experiment subject.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you got. I mean, keep that in mind too when you're getting these forms and stuff, because if you get the vaccine, and pay attention to this, and this will keep you on it. Pfizer stock is $40 a share now. Just pay attention to this in these upcoming weeks when they start moving these vaccines. It's $40 a share now. Let's see how far it goes up when people start getting these shots.
90%. It's going to be projected at $360 a share.
So just check that out. And this is what I mean. This is how you're used to make other people money. You keep thinking you're the minority. You're not. They just train you to think that you ain't shit. You black. You ain't nothing. They train that's what you call yourself. You call yourself nothing every day. That's what the Black Panthers was sitting here to tell you. You all emotionally involved in a story. Your ass didn't even know nan one of them. Right. And what did these groups and these people do? They set your ass up. Yep. Don't be emotional with them because you love the story and you love the black jacket and the beret and all that shit. Be real about it. What happened? What did it do? What was the outcome? You have a baby, and in a year, you're expecting something from the baby, him to walk or something. Everything that you come out with, you always lose, and you still love it. Why do Negroes do that? You love roots. It was a lie.
Yes, it was.
The Black Panthers, that was a joke. I mean, doing 10 minutes of studying on the Black Panthers, you will realize that was one of the most bullshit organizations ever. And you love it. You love it. So all that programming shit, I'm not with that. Because you can unprogram yourself. Humans
Exactly.
are very inept creatures. They can change. They can do a whole bunch of shit, especially the ones over here. Just because you go with it and you believe it in your heart, all that bullshit, you have to explain what you're talking about because the children are being confused.
And they're killing themselves at a higher rate than ever. Black children are committing more suicides than any other ethnic group right now. Just think about that for a minute. They're choosing not to want to be here because of what's going on versus growing up and experiencing life. They're saying, well, we're not doing this, and they're ending it. Think about that for a minute.
So listen, all this stuff they've been giving you, you better rethink it. You're gonna let other people dictate how your life should be, okay? Because we can point out the people who have done that and didn't turn out well for them. Why are you here? Why are you here at this point in time? What did you come here to do? If you came here to lick somebody's ass, enjoy yourself. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. We got to get out of here. I hope you guys have a nice weekend. We'll be live a couple of more times this weekend. I've been out for a couple of weeks. Everything's cool. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Have a good day, you guys. Stay blessed.